Hello, and welcome to the Responsive Family Sleep Podcast. I'm your host, Kim Hawley, holistic sleep coach, lactation consultant, peaceful parenting educator, and mom. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by all the conflicting sleep info, frustrated with sleep information that just plain felt wrong, or searched desperately for a truly gentle and responsive sleep approach, then you are in the right place. In each episode, we'll be answering your most pressing baby and toddler sleep questions, busting those sleep myths, and helping you understand truly developmental, biologically normal baby and toddler sleep, plus encouraging you to trust your intuition along the way. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm so excited for our topic this week. I've been wanting to do a deeper dive on this for a while, and we are going to be talking about the nervous system and temperament and tension and all these different pieces that we are going to bring together into one messy, lovely conversation. And I have a colleague, sleep coach, OT, friend of mine on today, Kaili, and I am so happy that you're here to have this wonderful, messy, important conversation with me.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. Do you want to tell folks just a little bit about your background and then we'll jump in?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So I guess my starting background would be that I have been an occupational therapist probably for the last 18 years now, I think I'm coming on. So very long time, and I've worked with children that whole time, specifically focusing my, I guess, niche, you could say, to the 0 to 3 population in the last 10 years or so. And that kind of started from having my own babies. I
Mm-hmm.
had my son 10 years ago, or almost 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years in August. And he was sort of my case study, I think, and the reason why I went into learning all the things about babies, reflux and sleep and, nervous system and body tension and all of that because he had it all. And I remember thinking, when he was a toddler, I remember thinking, like, why is his nervous system so fried? Like, I had this thought in my head of, like, wow, this toddler is so stressed out. Like, what is going on? And I tried all kinds of different things, energy, healing, frequencies, primitive reflexes, sensory stuff, everything. And I was like, I still can't figure it out. And to this day, I haven't quite figured him out yet. But that has led me on this whole journey, this whole path to get additional training in all of these things that are related to babies and toddlers to like try to figure out what was going on with him. But now, as a result, I have really shifted my entire practice when it comes to babies and children and how I even practice occupational therapy, how I support sleep, how I support body tension, how I support all the things. And that's been a big shift. And I think that shift has brought me from, oh, they're just sensitive, or they're high needs, or they're strong-willed, or they're spirited, or they're, dragon babies, or whatever the terminology that you choose to use for these children.
Mm-hmm.
Stubborn, poor sleeper, all of that. It's shifting to what is my child's body communicating? Why are they like that? And
Mm-hmm.
this kind of brings us into that whole temperament piece that we were chatting about before, right? Because
Yep.
that whole temperament piece is, you know, that we're born into this world with a certain sort of characteristic combination, right? So whether it dictates like if we have different sensitivities or how reactive we are, or how
Mm-hmm.
adaptable we are, persistence, activity level, all of those. I think there's like 9 altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do agree that, of course, we're all born with uniqueness, and we all have tendencies that influence our daily lives and how we interact with others, how we interact with our environment, how we interact with ourselves, how we're feeling, and all of that. So there is a component to that sort of personality piece. But I really think that how much, like, we have to ask that question of how much are we actually observing, like what we're observing, is it true temperament that babies were born with? Or how much is it their state of a developing nervous system?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we start to look at things like body tension, birth patterns, and birth experiences that have happened during labor and delivery, feeding challenges, reflux, digestive discomfort, sensory processing differences, primitive reflex integration, sleep deprivation, and then that whole like nervous system load, what initially we think of as personality might actually just be a system that's working really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that necessarily means that temperament doesn't exist, but it's like we put so much emphasis on, oh, well, your child was just born like this. But were they really? I don't know.
I love that because, like, as we were starting to chat about before I hit record, and then I stopped myself because I'm like, no, 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 hit record. Like, so much of the temperament research, and I love the temperament research, like, I think
Mhm.
it is really useful, but so much of it was like back, it started in the 50s. And I think our understanding of nervous system is, night and day difference,
Mhm.
right? From
Mhm.
whatever, 70 years ago. And so it's fascinating. Like, is this baby more sensitive? Is it their nervous system's more activated? But is their nervous system more activated because they're more sensitive? But then why are they more you know what I mean? Like, you can kind of in
Mhm.
talk yourself in circles, but also you can think of it as like peeling back layers, right? Like,
Mhm.
of kind of figuring out what's going on, right? Like,
Mhm.
is there a different reason than maybe we're thinking besides they're just,
Yeah, and
you know?
I like to think of the nervous system because that's also like a whole big broad term that's like the
Mm-hmm.
trendy thing to talk about
Oh,
these
yeah.
days, right? And I like and people are like, but what does that actually mean? And so we all kind of know about the regulation. We can talk about the nervous system more in a bit, but I wanted to bring this concept of capacity, right? And so
Yeah.
this is something that I really think helps to understand a little bit more about why we have these children that are a little bit more sensitive or a little bit more high needs or fussy or whatever. And then we have this other group of children who are like easygoing, totally fine with any kind of change in their life and like don't
Mhm.
really make a sound hardly, right? And I think it comes down to capacity versus necessarily personality that you're born with. And so capacity refers to really how much your whole body brain system has available for things like regulation, coordination, recovery from stress, learning ability, connection ability,
Mhm.
flexibility to adapt between all kinds of different, I guess, extremes of these things, right? When capacity is high, children tend to be, and adults, humans, let's just say humans in general, tend to be more flexible,
Mhm.
more adaptable. When capacity is low, the systems start to compensate, right? So we don't have that same flexibility, we don't have that same adaptability. The exact same child can look very different depending on how much capacity is available on that day.
Yep.
So I want you to think about a child who is well rested. They're comfortable, they're connected with their caregivers, they're very regulated, they're not overwhelmed, they're eating well that day, et cetera, right? You've got a picture in your head about this child who's like just calm, content, happy to go, do whatever you want to do that day. That child will look very different when they are overtired, constipated. Maybe they have a lot of body tension that they're carrying. Maybe they're
Mhm.
overstimulated from a really busy day out or a big birthday party that they went to. They're overwhelmed for whatever reason, or they're sick. That child didn't change. Their personality that they were born with didn't change. Their capacity changed. And
Mhm.
I think that a lot of these behaviors that we're so worried about, they reflect this variability in capacity, right? So that's why you have some babies who you could do the exact same routine with, the exact same wake windows with, the exact same whatever with. One child will sleep for many hours in a row and the other child will not.
Mhm.
Why? It comes down to the capacity, I think.
I love that, right? And why you can do the exact same bedtime routine, and some days it works beautifully and other days they are falling apart, right?
Hmm.
And struggling, and you're like,
Exactly.
but the naps weren't different, right? We didn't do that much
Yeah.
different. But other
Yeah.
things can be different to affect that.
Exactly. And this is also like I hear all the time parents are like, oh my gosh, my baby slept through the night last night. Now I have to recreate every
Mm.
single thing I did that day
Yes.
to the letter. And I've been telling, because this comes up in my baby classes all the time. And I'm like, I got this Apple Watch so that I could track my sleep because I was really curious as to how much deep sleep I was getting, which is like more of that restorative kind of sleep versus how many times I was waking and all of this stuff. Can I
Mm-hmm.
just tell you that every single night, I think I'm sleeping through the night and it's telling me all kinds of different data. Some nights I have an hour and a half of awake time throughout the night. Some nights I have 38 minutes of awake time throughout the night. And that's not necessarily me being awake and like not being able to sleep and having insomnia. That's me having my partial arousals. But the key here is, and what I tell my the parents that I work with, is that my days are pretty much the exact same. So
Mm-hmm.
why do I have this variability in my sleep? It's because we're human. That is not something that you can train out.
Yep.
Every day is just going to be different for whatever reason. It could be because of the temperature. We're very hot and humid right now here
Oh,
in Ontario, where I
here
am.
too.
And like I was not ready for it. My body was not ready for it. So my sleep is definitely being impacted by that. Hydration, what foods I'm eating. I try to eat very similar foods, but digestion, it changes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's all these things, right? And I mean, sleep is a very obsessive thing. I feel like we could obsess so much about, okay, got to recreate. I have to wake up at the exact same time. I have to eat all the same foods. I have to go to the bathroom at the same time. I have to go out and do my physical exercise at the same time. But your sleep will probably still be variable.
Yep.
And it's a matter of how can we kind of decrease some of that variability, but also how can we make our system more adaptive to that variability so that we're not affected as much by that variability on a day-to-day basis.
I love that. Kind of looking at it from different angles, right? That we're going to have that
Hmm.
natural variability and our kiddos are going to have that natural variability, right? But we can look at that from different angles to support everyone getting more
Well, and
rest, having
this
easier
is real
days.
life.
Yep.
You cannot control.
I
You
know.
cannot control every part of your life every single day as much as you think you can when you have little babies. That's not how life works.
I imagine that you have similar conversations. I have lots of conversations with what can we control, what can't we control, right?
Hmm.
What could we possibly control, but like the trade-off is too high, right? Like micromanaging where naps are down to like,
Yeah.
little bits. We gotta
Hmm.
have that adaptability,
Exactly.
and flexibility. And yeah, some
Hmm.
things might be deal breakers, like in your functioning as a family that you do want to be pretty consistent on, but
Mm.
not everything. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so
Yeah.
I know I see this a lot. We have these kiddos that seem to go from 0 to 1 million really
Hmm.
quickly, right? They struggle, they have a lot of inconsistency, they have big dysregulation around
Hmm.
wake ups and things like that. Um, and they come to me with no expressed concerns around like body tension or anything like
Hmm.
that. So I'd love to kind of dig in like some of the ways you can clue in. I mean, like we can tell obviously in
Hmm.
this hypothetical child, which I see, you know, I'm thinking
Hmm.
of a specific recent client, but like this is not a atypical child for, me to see.
Hmm.
I'm sure for you
Hmm.
to see either.
Yeah,
And,
so first of all,
you
the
know,
fact that they are a 0 to 60 kind of child is already telling you something about their
uh-huh.
capacity, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
this is what I talk to parents about because I also get those children, right? And what I like to tell parents is that, you know what, your child is not actually starting at 0. Your child is maybe starting at 55 and they're
I tell
going
them
from
that too.
55 to 60 like that because that is, like their threshold, their capacity level is not very big
Hmm.
when you compare to somebody who is starting at 0 and they have like all 60
Yep.
bandwidth, right?
Yep.
And so those children that have that big bandwidth are not the children that go from 0 to 60, unless
Hmm.
there's like some major, big, huge, traumatic, scary event, right?
Hmm.
But those kiddos and humans in general who go from 0 to 60 like that at the drop of a hat are the ones that actually are starting at 55 or
Yep.
whatever the number is, right?
Yep.
They're
Because
not
they're
starting at
already
0.
struggling and their baseline is
Exactly.
already
So they're
at
already
struggle.
struggling at their baseline. So our job, I feel like, is to figure out why is their baseline at 55, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
What is causing their baseline to be at 55 instead of 0? Why can't they get to 0? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where you have to do a little bit of digging. And it's usually not just because of sleep.
Oh, of course.
Let's
Yeah.
just say, right? Like we
I'd say
both
it's
know that, but like
almost
parents
never
don't
sleep is the
necessarily know.
expression, right? Like I feel like sleep is the
100%.
symptom. Like that's what we're
100%.
seeing. What's going on beneath is is usually
Exactly.
not about sleep.
Yeah. And so I'm actually looking at what was their pregnancy like? What was their
Mm-hmm.
birth like? What was their labor and delivery like?
Yeah.
I get a lot of information just from that little snapshot of what might be going on with this nervous system. Did they have a C-section? That baby was taken out and they were not ready for it. Did they, they didn't have any clues that this was happening and they just bam right into the, loud, chaotic, cold, bright world. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big sensory overload, but it's also often a very jarring entrance to the world, right?
Yep.
Forceps, vacuum, all that stuff, even Pitocin, that synthetic oxytocin, those contractions are way more intense than natural contractions with real oxytocin from your body. And so that's also giving us a little bit of a picture that baby already had significant stress to their body, more so than is typical with a natural birth, for example, and how evolution designed it. Then we also need to consider things like feeding. Okay, feeding is another big one that is often a struggle for a lot of families that I work with. And feeding and sleep, I'm sorry to say, they do go hand in hand
I
often,
mean,
right?
you're preaching to the choir.
But feeding, right? Why are the babies having feeding difficulties? If you're not
Mm-hmm.
full, you're going to be hungry and you're going to be not at your best capacity with your biggest capacity level because you're hungry and you're focused on the fact that you're hungry.
Yeah.
Why might you be hungry? Usually it's not because of milk supply. Sometimes it is, but usually that's not the case. There's a reason why that baby is not getting a full belly. And that's a whole other thing to like look into and think about. Is it body tension that's causing the latch to be off? Is it
Mm-hmm.
tongue and oral motor function that's causing that latch to be off? Is that baby getting more air in, which is then causing more gassiness, which is then causing
Mm-hmm.
reflux, which is then causing potentially pain because that reflux is coming up and down and irritating the esophagus? Is it because of digestive stuff that that baby is going through and they're just getting bombarded with things like cow's milk dairy, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
or cow's milk protein, and their system is like, whoa, overload, I can't take care of this. And now I'm feeling gross inside. So now my capacity has shrunk. When our inside is not working well and not feeling good and we're bloated, like think about yourselves, right? Like you're listening to this podcast, maybe you ate something and it's not sitting well in your stomach, or you're feeling a little gassy, you're feeling bloated, you're just feeling ugh, right? And like your capacity is actually going to be smaller as a result of feeling ugh, because you're just not able to regulate all these other things that might be happening because you're so focused on what is happening inside.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're going to be short with people. You might yell at your husband, you might snap at your kids, or just overloaded.
Yeah.
And you're not like that every day, because if you don't eat whatever it is that you ate and upset your stomach, then you're going to not have that internal discomfort, and you're going to have more capacity and you're going to feel better, and you'll be able to deal with things a little bit more. You're going to be able to regulate yourself a little bit more easily, right? And so all these things I'm looking at. So digestive comfort, I'm looking at body comfort, body tension, and that doesn't mean that you're super tight. But guess what? Babies can have headaches. Babies can have that muscle knot that they're like, oh, it's so annoying. All I can think about is that. I
Mm-hmm.
think we really think about babies as being these blank slates that
Yeah.
don't have feelings, that can't feel things the same way that we do. Wake up call, they are human beings. They have all the same sensations and feelings. They might just not be able to express those with words, right? And
I
and like concepts yet.
Yeah. I'd love to tap into like take a little sidestep into the body
Yeah.
tension piece because like
Yeah.
I think it's really obvious with a baby that has like torticollis or something like that. But
Mm.
I would venture to say that a lot of babies are out there existing in the world with less
100%.
like in your face body
Hmm.
tension. Like we see it with feeding, we see it with sleep. Like there's
Yeah.
a reason why I do a lot
So,
of body work referrals. So let's talk about some of the
yeah.
signs.
Oh gosh, there's a lot of them. But okay, so
Of
let's
course.
start. So obviously, head turning preference to one side is going to be a side sign that there's some body tension.
Hmm.
Also, those babies that are super, super straight all the time and want
Mm.
to stand all the time, or your doctor's telling you, "Oh, look how strong your baby is." Mm-mm. Babies are not meant to be strong
So like
when they come
being,
out. That is usually tension.
would you say being like well ahead on your big body
Yes,
milestones could be a like,
exactly.
ooh, let's look
Exactly.
here.
So that 3 month old or that 3 week old who is doing some great tummy time, that's body tension there.
Hmm.
That's tension and tightness, and they are not able to feel comfortable in their body. They're just like think about yourself with like tight hamstrings. You're not moving in the same way, right?
Hmm.
Um, then also other things that I look at often are those red creases, where the milk collects and things start to get
Hmm.
a little stinky in the neck and the armpits, sometimes in the wrist areas, in all the little chub
Oh, baby
creases, right?
wrinkles. I love them.
100%. And the baby wrinkles is not the problem. It's when they start to get angry and red and you can't kind of like open them up, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
why the milk collects in there. That's why they're all red and you're like, oh my gosh, that looks like an open sore almost. It's because everything is just so tight. Hands that
Mm-hmm.
are fisted all the time. So, to a certain extent, for newborns, they are going to be fisted, but you should be able to open them up. They should not be like super clenched, nice and tight. Toes that are kind of curled. That's another thing to kind of look for that will tell you a little bit about body tension. Flatness on their head. I'm sorry, that's because they are staying in one spot for a very long time because guess what? They've got tension somewhere and they're not able to do the same wiggles and moves that babies are meant to do. On top of that, we've got things like, those bellies that are really wide. That can be a sign that they don't have the right kind of tension and closing in that front line, which means
Mm-hmm.
that there's going to be tension often in the back of their bodies, hard rock, like hard as rock kind of stomachs. That's tension. There's stuff
Mm-hmm.
going on that is not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's common, but it is not normal. Your baby should be pretty soft and squishy. Now,
Melty.
of course, there's the other end of that, right? Where it's like they're too soft and squishy, but that's
Mm-hmm.
like a whole other conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, the other thing I find is sometimes those babies, instead of being really extended, they're like really scrunched up and you can like barely get them dressed because it's so hard to like
Mm-hmm.
reach their arms straight or reach their legs straight and they just like want to curl right back up. That's
Mm-hmm.
also tension. So all of those things, right, are signs and symptoms of body tension and something is going on. Then you have tummy time. Often tummy time is very uncomfortable for these babies and they're going to scream and cry more than the regular like what the heck my head is so heavy kind of
Mm-hmm.
discomfort. Rolling either they don't roll or rolling only to one side
Mm-hmm.
if they have a side preference for rolling later on, if they don't crawl, or if they have a crawling, like a weird crawl where they're only crawling with like one leg, or bum scooting often. Like there's so many things that can be impacted by body tension. So these are just some of the quick little signs and symptoms where you're like, oh, it's veered from the typical. So why? We want to know
Mm-hmm.
why, right? That's all of these things are little clues, like body clues, right? I talk about
Yeah.
them as body clues. Like, yeah, why? Why do they have that red crease? Let's figure that out. Why do they only look to one side? That's not because they're trying to do that to annoy you, or they're like, oh, I think I only like to look over the left. It's because they can't look the other way for whatever reason. And we need to figure out that reason, resolve that reason. And then guess what? Their body starts to be more fluid, their capacity starts to grow, that
Mm-hmm.
threshold starts to widen. And then we can have more ability to regulate ourselves, to be more flexible, to be more adaptable, to lie down and be still and calm and safe enough to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We can feed without getting more air intake because our muscles and things are doing what they need to do in order to get that good latch without that air intake.
Mhm.
right? So it's all these things. Even a lot of the tension in the mouth can be seen in mom's nipples. Bleeding, cracked, sore nipples, that is not a normal thing. That
Yep.
is not because your nipples have to harden and suck it up, and this happens to all women. No, this is because your baby is chomping on the breast.
Mhm.
Why are they chomping on the breast? Because there's probably some jaw tightness. That tongue is not doing what it needs to be doing. And all they can figure out is literally clamping onto the nipple. Um, yeah, I don't
Yep.
know. I could go on and on and on, but let's stop there for now if you have
Yeah.
more.
No, I mean, I think that's like, that's it, right? All these little clues that tell us that their body is holding tension. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm a runner, and
Yeah,
when my body is tight, my body is not happy. When my body is not happy, I am not happy. So like it's
exactly.
that simple, except that babies, it is more I like the way you talk about clues. Like we kind of have to gather those clues
Hmm.
and then start looking at the picture like why is
Hmm.
it such a struggle?
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of folks don't have good access. Like if you think there might be some
Hmm.
body tension, they don't have good access to
Hmm.
body workers that work on infants or are as deeply attuned. I feel like that can be a struggle for a lot of
Hmm. Hmm.
parents. And obviously, every baby is different, and babies benefit if they have a lot of body tension from like a good assessment, all that stuff aside.
Hmm.
Are there any like simple things that a parent can do to help from the body tension standpoint, just at home with their baby, just like, as part of how they're interacting to help bring that tension down and kind of bring that capacity up?
Yeah, and this is something that I teach in my baby classes. I also actually do have a free guide where it'll walk you through how to like assess your baby and see what might be going on. And then I have a baby body work at home course where I literally teach you all the things that I'm teaching parents when they come and see me in
Oh,
person.
I forgot you had that
Um,
course. I'll get those
yeah,
links from you.
yeah.
They'll be in the show
Yeah,
notes.
yeah, I will. But some of the things that you can do for just like easily, right, is really start to like lay your baby down if they're happy to be laid down. It doesn't matter where, like somewhere safe, obviously. It could be the bed, it could be the change table, wherever, on the floor if you want to get down on the floor. And I want you to just move your baby's body, but like move it each way. So like you're gonna each side separately. So you're gonna maybe move their leg on the right side, right? And just move it in and out into the belly. Like we're already doing this stuff for gas and digestion and all the things to get the burps out or get the farts out, right? So just
Mm-hmm.
now you're going to do it a little more intentionally and it may be a little bit slower. You're going to do one leg and then you're going to stop and you're going to do the other leg and you're going to think to yourself, did both of those feel the same? Did one side feel easier? Did one side feel stickier? Did it seem like my baby was resisting the movement, or was it easy and they were allowing me to do it? Did they have any grimaces while I was doing that? Or like, those little kind of noises.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going to do the same thing with the hips and do little circles with the hips. So you're going to do circles out, circles in. Again, you're going to compare both sides. It should be easy. Your baby should not be resisting. It should feel smooth. If it doesn't, that's a clue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you're going to try that with the arms. Babies should be able to lift their arms all the way to touch the floor behind them or whatever surface they're on.
Mm-hmm.
If they're like, oh, with a bent elbow and you're like really struggling to get it back there, that's a clue. There's some tension. You're also going to look at your baby, right? And you can look at your baby in the car seat. This is a great one. If your baby is curved to one side, which a lot of babies are like this, right? They're curved to one side, their head kind of lolls to one side and falls
Mm-hmm.
over to one side. That's a sign that there is most likely some tension because otherwise they would be able to maintain a more symmetrical, in alignment, kind of neutral positioning. Okay? Other things that you can do, and you can do these as an assessment but also to like work it out.
Yeah.
Movement is so good for releasing body tension. But when we're doing movement like this on our babies, it's not that we're like stretching through the stickiness. We're not yanking on anything. We're not, forcing a stretch. We're going kind of slow because babies' processing speeds are slow, much slower than ours. We live in a very fast-paced world. So slow, the speed that your baby likes things seems very, very, very slow for you. But trust me, their body will start to let go when you can move slower than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also never forcing anything. So if you find that little bit of stickiness or resistance and you're like, oh, okay, they don't want to go farther than that, that's okay. Sometimes I do a little wiggle, wiggle, jiggle, jiggle to loosen things up and make it fun. You can sing songs to help your baby relax, but just taking them through different movements, just like we like to do stretches. Well, maybe we don't like to do stretches, but we should be doing various different body movements because if we were just sitting in one spot all day long, you're gonna be sore
I was gonna say
and tight.
I've been in PT all spring, and I'm like, up until the point where you said singing the songs and stuff, this sounds like some of my mobility work.
100%, exactly. And I think we
Songs and stuff.
forget, right? Like, this is not hard. This is not hard. You do not need special training to do this kind of stuff. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of other techniques that your body workers are going to do in person. But this stuff, this kind of movement and just releasing and stretching, you know, is
I love
just
that.
going to be very helpful for your baby, just like it's helpful for your body. You need to move those joints, those muscles to lubricate them, and that's going to help release things.
I love that.
Even with the head turning, right? So if you've got a baby that only likes to look one way, guess what? Hold them on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Hold them on the other side, your uncomfortable side. You're going to have to do it intentionally because otherwise you're always going to go to whichever side is your favorite. And they're always going to look out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
hold them on the other side so they look the other way. Contact naps are a great way to do this, right? So let your baby fall asleep however they're falling asleep. Once they're asleep and they're nice and relaxed, they're more relaxed than when they're awake potentially, you're going to just shift their head to the other side and let them just rest there.
Mm,
It's
just
like a
passively.
passive stretch. They don't
Mm-hmm.
even know it's happening. And so this is the kind of stuff that you can start to do at home. You just have to start noticing, get curious, start noticing, and kind of do the opposite. This is also part of the reason why I'm always asking when you put your baby down for a nap, do you always put them on the same end of the crib,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just turn their head the other way sometimes.
Yep.
Put them the opposite way that you normally do, right? Like they're going to start to shift their own body as well. So those are some of the quick things that I can, that doesn't take any time really. You can do it during your awake time, your play time. It's really good to be bonding with your baby, make silly faces, sing songs, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be like, okay, let's do this 10 times in a row. No, just make it fun. Do the legs after one diaper change. Do the arms after the next diaper change. Have some fun. Make, silly noises or whatever it is. Babies are going to love it. They're going to have so much fun, right? And they're not even going to notice they're being stretched out.
I love
And
that.
they'll feel better.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
And I love how just like
Mhm.
as with so many things in parenting, it's just about like weaving those little moments in because
Mhm.
that's sustainable, right? And like having fun with
100%.
it. Yeah.
Even when they're just sitting in your lap or when they're, burping or whatever, just move their bum a little. Like just give it a little shake a shake.
Mm-hmm.
We do this stuff without thinking about it because this is often what babies like when they need to be kind of calmed. But if you start to be more intentional about it and you slow down your movements and maybe you're holding where you're like, oh, it's a little sticky there. Okay, let's go back to the easy side. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
now let's come back to the hard side. That's all it takes.
I love that.
Hmm.
So I know there are lots of reasons why babies' capacity might be on the low
Hmm.
side, right? Body tension
Hmm.
being one, but then we kind of can cascade, right? Like as you've talked about. Any other things that you can think of that are like simple, easy to action tips, kind of like the tension ones,
Hmm.
for parents to be like, okay, this nervous system is working hard. What else can we do to help regulate and bring that capacity up a bit?
Honestly, you're probably already doing it, but guess what? Instagram and society is telling you it's a bad habit. So co-regulation, it comes back down to co-regulation.
Yes.
That means picking up your baby when they're crying. That means holding your baby, getting comfortable with the contact naps if that's the only way that they're sleeping. That means waking up and responding to them at night. That means,
Yep.
you know, all of the things. And it is not a bad habit. It is not spoiling your child. It is not creating dependence forever and ever and ever. It is not impacting their eventual independence. This co-regulation piece is the way that we support their nervous system. And
Yeah.
literally, we are their external regulators because guess what? Their brain does not have the capacity to do that self-talk of like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay, I don't feel so good. My tummy is a little bloated and it's hurting. It must be that food that I ate earlier. Okay, like that's why I'm not just feeling so good. I'm not feeling like 100% like myself. Okay, well, why don't I go and get a hot pack and lie down and just rest a little bit, right? No, no, that's not what's happening for our babies. They do not have the cognitive ability for that yet. They don't have
Mm-hmm.
the ability to be like, oh, I know my head hurts, but if I just lie down and sleep, if I just try to not think about it, it'll be okay. I'll be able to fall asleep. No, no. They're like, wah, 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 where's my mom? Where's my safe
So
place?
true.
Where is my regulator? And so this is also why co-regulation is so impactful is because when we are in that stressed state, right? Because of a low capacity, we are now totally overwhelmed. Our capacity is like threshold has been exceeded, and we're like in meltdown or stress or fussing or crying unconsolably or whatever it is. The only way our nervous system, when we're a little baby, and also humans in general, is going to be able to calm down again is with that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a hug and you're just holding your baby and you're breathing, but you are externally helping them to down regulate.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they learn how to eventually do it on their own through the experience of experiencing it in their body because somebody helped them.
Yep.
So this is where it's like I, I, I mean, I can give you various things, put your baby in a carrier, go outside, go for a walk, do the bouncing, all the things, all the swaying. That linear movement is often very calming for babies, especially if it's more of a rhythmical and it's not like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
shush, 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 right? That's a little aggressive. Um, and so we're just trying to find out what works for your baby. Maybe they need to be held in a different position. One of my favorite positions for those quote unquote fussy babies is actually in a tummy down position over your arm.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's a
that
great
it
one.
really it's a great one because it puts a little bit of pressure on their diaphragm, on their tummy. It's often just really very organizing for them. And it works like a charm. So there's that one. The other one, oh, and I don't have my baby doll with me right now, so I'll just have to explain it. The other one, because sometimes we have those babies where you're trying all the things and you're like, now what? None of it is working. So we're going to, oh, thank you. My husband heard me. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your baby and put them face out just against your body. You're just going to kind of hold them in like a comfortable position. You're just going to try to get all their limbs, so their arms and their legs, as much as you can, into the middle of their body, into that midline. If
Mm-hmm.
they have a soother or something, or they could suck on that, that would be also very calming and organizing. And this is a great way to just regulate them, right? You could add in some swaying or bouncing or whatever it is that you would do naturally, but this bringing everything into midline is primitively soothing and organizing and regulating. So
I love that.
this is why babies like to suck on things and why it
Mm-hmm.
calms them down. So those babies that are literally latched on all night long, guess what? They need that for organization. Their capacity level or threshold is likely very small. And the smallest thing will set them off, and they just don't feel comfortable in their body for whatever reason. They don't feel safe without being right next to mom. or caregiver, right? And so then that's finding how do we help their capacity threshold grow bigger through different ways. And there's a lot of different ways, sensory processing, different strategies, integrating primitive reflexes, getting that body work done, helping the oral motor function and the feeding function, looking into digestion, all of those different things. How can we increase their capacity so that they don't need to latch all night long, so that they can find regulation in other ways?
And which pieces are strongest will depend on what's going on with that
Exactly.
individual baby. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is where it's like so much more than just sleep.
Of course. I love it. I love it. I know we're hitting right up against time. So I just want to and I think in so many ways, that's like a good place to wrap things up because it's like all
Yeah.
these different layers and pieces. And I'm going to get all your info from you and all that. And the links
Yeah.
for those bodywork resources and tension resources will be in the notes. But any sort of
Yeah.
last thought as we kind of wrap things up to leave folks with?
I mean, and this is definitely not my own thought, and I do not remember where I first heard it from or who kind of coined this, but I want you to really take away that your child is not giving you a hard time, they are having a hard time. And whoever said that the first time is brilliant, right?
That
Because
is
this
my
really shifts.
favorite.
Oh,
I
I
use it
love
all the
it.
time. Like
There
as a
you
mom
go.
too, that is my favorite. But like
Yes,
I love that one.
exactly. And the thing is that behavior is communication. So your child is not trying to be bad. They're not trying to be fussy. They don't want to manipulate you. They're not trying, and like I don't believe in any of that stuff, but this is the stuff that you're hearing in social media and society and from doctors and all the things. All of that stuff is happening because something is going on with your child, and your job as a parent and as a provider is to figure out why. Why are they having a hard time? Why are they fussy? Why are they so tight? Why do they not want to do solids? Why can they not sleep for more than 1 hour on their own? Why do they need to be latched all night? Why are they so restless when they sleep? Why do they mouth breathe? All the things, right?
Yep.
Right?
So true.
So that, yeah, so your child is not giving you a hard time. They are having a hard time. And really, the best way to support them is to figure out the why.
Yeah. I love that we wrap up on my favorite parenting information and that it's one of yours as well. It's very, very
Yeah,
fitting. I would
amazing.
be mindful of your time. I think we could talk about this forever, but Kylie, thank you
100%.
so much for sharing all this with me today and having such a great chat about
Yeah. Thanks for
parenting.
having me. And yeah, this was great. I love chatting about this. And yes, we maybe we'll have to do a part two at some point.
Definitely, definitely. Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. I hope this episode left you feeling more informed, confident, and encouraged on your sleep journey. And just a reminder before you go that nothing in this episode is individualized to your specific sleep situation, nor is it to be taken as medical advice. Take what resonates, ignore what doesn't, and check with your healthcare provider about any medical concerns. Take a moment to subscribe to this podcast so that you'll never miss an episode. And take a moment to rate, review, or share an episode you love on social media. All of that helps parents just like you find me, this podcast, and this gentle and responsive sleep information. I'll see you next time.